What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Karina and today we are going into a topic that I've been wanting to discuss for a while, but just literally just had to kind of sit down and go through like my whole thought process regarding this topic, because obviously with a topic like this there's just so much like discussion. I kind of just wanted to chime in and talk about just how I've been feeling regarding this topic and just give you, of course, my little sociological perspective as well. It's gonna be a long one, so don't forget to grab a snack and let's just dive into these topics. Before I forget, don't forget to check out my descriptions down below. It really goes into detail based like what videos inspired me, articles, and all that jazz. So please check it out down below, as well as timestamps if you want to skip around. And as usual, I have my phone because I have a whole notes in here to kind of just reference, because I have not the best memory, and so it's nice to just look back and read through my notes. I've been wanting to talk about this topic for a while. I actually found a notes in my notes app from 2019 that basically kind of like the starter of this conversation, and I think it was really imperative for me, especially since I am a creator that focuses on kind of plus size content. I really wanted to dive in and talk about this topic because it's obviously very relevant to me. I wrote a whole notes regarding like how I was feeling, so it might sound a little jarring, but I definitely want to talk about all of these topics that I even put into questions. And it says, what makes me confident? Because I dress how I like, because I try to disregard my weight, I'm doing outside of what my social expectations are, even though it's pretty normal for an ideal body type person to wear what they want, but on me it's considered confident. It's like saying you're confident for a fat person. It's like telling me you have such a pretty face, but if you would lose more weight, you'd be stunning. Confidence isn't appearance. Confidence is me trying to be normal. Within my journey of, you know, being on YouTube or just as a content creator in general, like I would get constant comments regarding confidence and body and also body positivity. I kind of just wanted to dive into this realm because I have also had so many questions regarding this. So what is body positivity? Body positivity refers to all people deserve to have positive body image regardless of how American society and pop culture deems so. The movement kind of started with Lou Loderback. He started the NAAFA, the National Association to Advancement Fat Acceptance, in the 1960s because he noticed that his wife was mistreated because of her body. So if we define the norm in American society, the norm here regarding bodies is typically white, skinny, abled bodies that are geared towards more Western European looking. Eventually, the body positivity movement had like a shift. We're not only focusing on the body, but just unrealistic feminine like beauty standards. Later became the theme of like that all bodies are beautiful. And while body positivity has become more popular, there's a lot of confusion about this topic because I feel like there isn't a clear definition of what the movement is, because body positivity can mean anything to anyone. Depending on who you ask, many people will have different definitions of what they seem is body positivity. Very often you would hear like a lot of people love the message of just self-love and self-acceptance. Some people will disagree and say that body positivity is a movement of promoting obesity. Obviously, I don't think that's true. So that's kind of just the realm of body positivity. And now I kind of want to talk about this topic of like self-acceptance versus self-improvement, especially since we've seen like celebrities such as Adele or Rebel Wilson, who people were so against of their health journey in general. For some reason, self-acceptance and self-improvement cannot exist within the body positivity movement. Just kind of show you how counterintuitive those topics are according to me. So I feel like there's this assumption that self-acceptance and self-improvement are mutually exclusive and cannot occur simultaneously. So for instance, if you're trying to get more fit or change your health goal, you're considered no longer positive about your body because you're trying to change something. You no longer are considered body positive regarding your body because the whole rationale of being body positive is just accepting your body for the way it is at that moment. The common misconception with this is like people automatically assume or generalize that because you're trying to change some part of your body that you're doing it for like a dramatic weight loss, when sometimes that's just not even the case. I think that's a good example of like how Lizzo, she went like on this whole little health journey where she was just doing like juicing for a week because she wanted to cleanse her body from like toxins or whatever, you know. People were just like so angry with her because apparently she was no longer accepting her body because she was juicing. First of all, that's her body, and if the homegirl wants to juice, like, she can juice it up. Like, I just don't understand why we put like this pressure on people. And I don't think Lizzo went into like trying to be a body positivity person. I feel like she just went out there just being herself and just like showing what she loves and loving herself out there openly. And I think people automatically just like put this pressure on her for that. I hate to say this, but sometimes I feel like it's easy to put like our insecurities onto someone else and like judge them, feel like they are like a representation of your insecurities. A lot of the time celebrities like Lizzo or Adele or Reba are giving those kind of backlashes because I feel like a lot of the times the community really relies to have a symbol or a role model in those communities when they obviously never chose that for themselves. For me, what I wrote down here, when the movement supposedly embraces all body types, yet pressures plus size bodies that if they want to create any change of their bodies, they are no longer have self-love or self-acceptance, because why would you change your body if you accept it for the way it is? That doesn't matter, because if they are truly happy with themselves, or if you're trying to talk about self-love, they can do whatever they want with their bodies, because at the end of the day, that is their own body. Regardless of any actions we do in our life, especially me coming as a woman, I know my body is going to constantly change, whether it's just like aging or even like going through pregnancy. Like, there's so many different phases in our lives that our bodies change. Come on, like, I think majority of us went through puberty. We put this like pressure on ourselves that our body cannot constantly change, when regardless of age it will happen. I also put here for myself, like, what happened to I am more than just a body? Can I just exist? Is that not enough? To me, the body positivity movement perpetuates this idea of self-acceptance and self-love by telling us that we must love ourselves and convince ourselves we are beautiful in order to be seen as worthy. And I feel like that's a constant message that we see all over different media platforms. Our image is so imperative to who we are, and I personally disagree with that. I think that our image is what defines us. I feel like for me as a person, all the interests that I have and just like the love and care that I have for people is another part of myself that I seem worthy. Even though body positivity aims for good intention, it perpetuates the idea of not allowing people to have days where they just don't like themselves. And I personally don't consider myself like a body positive influencer. That's not like the main focus of my channel, but I do enjoy having like an open dialogue where we can just talk about such topics, because I think it's an imperative message. The next section I want to talk about is, can confidence be a negative thing? Like I mentioned earlier in like the intro of this video, when I was writing in my notes app, that's something that I felt like whenever I was called confidence, it was kind of, to me, seen as a negative thing. To me, it seemed like it was like a backhanded compliment. And also just define confidence. So confidence has 3 definitions, so I'm going to talk about all 3. The first one is the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something firm or trust, like I have confidence he will take care of my dogs, something like that. The state of feeling certain about the truth of something. It's not possible to say with confidence how much of the increase in sea levels is due to melting glaciers. That's an example, the one they give. Then the last one is a feeling of self-assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. The type of confidence definition I will be referring is to the third one, specifically about appearance, because I feel like those are the statements that I receive the most. For me, I'm going to be talking about confidence as in stepping outside of the expectations of the norm, in a way kind of deviating from the norm. And I feel like that's kind of the projections that I get when someone comments that, hey, you're confident. First, I want to kind of define a common like norms or expectations in media. I'm going to specifically refer to most women and most men, because I feel like that's kind of the overall expected norm in media. I feel like most women very early on get the message that what's more important to them is how they look, that their value and worth depends on that. And most men get the message that that's what's important about them because of advertising seen in film, television shows, video games, and social media. For instance, when you see a plus size person and they're showing off their body, oftentimes they are deemed confident or iconic, but at the same time, a fit person or like quote unquote ideal body type do it, it seems very normal, or sometimes they are even shaded for it and kind of seem like they are just showing off. I also want to quote that body shaming is not only in the plus size communities. Body shaming in general, I feel like, is a whole spectrum. I feel like it happens in so many various communities, and I also just want to note that I feel like there's this constant narrative where people sensationalize things for being outside of the norm. I'm gonna give an example of like TikTok, because I feel like I've seen a lot of these like comments where it'd be like, oh my god, I wish I had your confidence. Oh my god, you're so brave for doing that. To me, does that not sound kind of like counterintuitive or backhanded? We have to stop seeing bodies as pathological. So now let's talk about body neutrality, because for me, body neutrality just gave me a better understanding of just how I personally see myself and just like where I defined within these kind of concepts. First, I want to define what body neutrality is, and it is taking a neutral perspective towards the body. For me, it's just appreciating my body for what it is and all its functions. I also like that it stresses a lack of attachment on how your body looks. Thus, it helps detach your self-worth from the perception of appearance. What I enjoy about body neutrality is just like allowing myself to have those emotions where I am not confident or I don't enjoy my appearance that time. Being okay with that and acknowledging that that emotion is valid and not feeling guilty for doing so. There's gonna be days where that's gonna happen. I feel like whenever I do any type of these videos, I always want to give like a whole like theory. So okay, let's dive into this topic, which obviously I feel like is very relevant. I'm going to talk about Emil Durkheim and his book called The Division of Labor in Societies. This homeboy wrote a book. It's long, there's a lot of topics, so I'm not really obviously going to deep dive into it, but I will be giving you like some kind of analysis, summarization, if you will. Still trying to go back and memorize this, graduated in 2017, so it's been a cool minute. Durkheim discusses how the division of labor, the establishment of specific jobs for certain people, benefits society because it increases the reproductive capacity of a process and the skill set for the workers. It also creates a feeling of solidarity among people who share those jobs. But Durkheim says the division of labor goes beyond economic interest. In the process, it also establishes social and moral order within a society. The division of labor can be effectuated only among members of an already constitutional society. He calls this the collective conscious, which is society is organized collectively and all members of the group share the same set of tasks or core beliefs. Basically meaning they all shared like a same belief or moral. Like for instance, I like to think about religion. There's like a specific core belief system in that religion, or even as micro as like thrifting. We all share like some kind of similar beliefs regarding thrifting and why we do it, or why we even like to watch these thrifting videos. And so it's like we all kind of build that community and we all kind of like relate to another because of these collective beliefs that we have regarding these interests or topics, you know? So it can be as core as morals or just social settings or even just interest in general. That's really interesting in the sense of like how norms kind of develop in a way. People found like this camaraderie or solidarity within those kind of core niches, and within those niches, smaller norms in those as well. Collectively as a society, we have very generalized social constructs, but at the same time, if you go down the ladder regarding any type of topic, for example video games, there's like a specific norm in that kind of cohort as well. He loves that with a solid kind of beliefs or system, it obviously creates like this type of order within how those organizations work as well, because they all have a similar collective conscious. Then he wrote a book called S, and then he argued that crime is not so much a violation of a penal code as an act that outrages society. He was the first to suggest that deviant labeling satisfies the function and satisfies society's need to control the behavior. And I found this part interesting because people want to control the people that deviate from the norm. That also benefits society because society wants to have orderly order because people want to share similar beliefs. And so when someone deviates from that, they want to be like, hey, you can't do that. At the end of the day, it's still controlling and it's still helping function society because it's maintaining the chaos. He's kind of one of the first persons who defines like labeling or the labeling theory, and he basically suggests that people are giving labels based on how others view their tendencies or behaviors. Each individual is aware of how they are judged by others because he or she has adopted many different roles and functions in social interactions and has been able to gauge what reactions to who they can show it to. Durkheim started the labeling theory, but there was also this other theorist called George Herbert Mead. He was also saying that like not just that, it's also like very individualized based on like how people are having those social interactions, especially given what role they have in that person's life. For example, like me as a girlfriend and the interactions I have with my boyfriend and the control that I have that I can say to him versus the conversations that I would have with my sister. It might be a little bit different because the connection and the interactions that I have with her versus the interactions that I have with my boyfriend. It all depends on those small interactions. So we talked about deviant behavior, so I kind of want to define it very quick. And deviant behavior is behavior that violates the normative rules, understandings, or expectations of social systems. So Emil Durkheim believed that deviance is a necessary part of a successful society, and it serves three functions. The first one, it clarifies the norm and increases conformity. The second one is it strains social bonds among the people reacting to that deviant. And the third one is it can help lead to positive social change and challenges to people's present views. And like obviously with all these theories, as I previously said in other videos, there's also cons with it. But even though at the core of like him coming up with these kind of like dialogues and conversations in like the 18th century, you know, like it's very interesting him noticing the shift within his society at the time. Even to this day, I feel like this topic is very prevalent, especially because of the type of society we are in here in America. And it's of course a capitalist society, and I feel like those topics are still pretty relevant to today. Keep in mind that I don't talk about all his points because there's just so much detail into everything, so don't forget that I will leave the article down below. Okay, so circling back to the topic, because you're probably like, okay, what was this for? Regarding body positivity as like a collective conscious, there is like this specific ways and interactions on how we see our body, and if you deviate from that, it's like considered against the movement's beliefs. So I just thought that was like a very intriguing thought, and that goes back to like the whole topic of like self-acceptance and self-improvement, and that like for some reason, if you want to even change your body, whatever that is for you, the body positively deems you not positive of your body because you want to change it, when in reality there can be anything that like can happen that, you know, you might need to change your body. It doesn't have to specifically be because of appearance. That was my whole conversation regarding this body positivity movement. I feel like that was like a long video just to tell you that like, yeah, body neutrality is just kind of how I see myself. Yeah, y'all. Sorry for this long video, but I definitely felt like it was necessary to just talk about these things because I also felt like I was never really clear about it, because I feel like sometimes people see my channel as a body positivity channel, which I never claimed to. That's not the movement that I personally find myself in. I am so glad that we sat down and had this conversation, or just have an open dialogue. I truly enjoy this. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my vids. Y'all know that it means so much to me. Also, please give this video a like if you really enjoyed it. It really helps me with the whole YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button down below. You can also follow me on my other social media platforms. I am living as Karina on Instagram and on TikTok, so check me out there if you like. But that is all, folks. Love you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.